Hello everyone, welcome back to the course. We're on part 6 now and we're going to be talking about building an army. So let's go through all the parts you'll need to build an army, and we're in how to be a modern samurai. We often see Japanese martial arts and Japanese arts today, and we try to be the best in that art, but in all the people that are within the group, everybody forces to be the best at this top of the pinnacle. But historically, that's not what samurai did. The samurai army was made up of experts in different fields, and of course foot soldiers and your main troops. But so the point is you have to find what you're good at. Don't try to be good at something you're not naturally gifted for or not naturally inclined towards. Of course, if you love that subject, go deep into it, but find what you are good at, go forward and be good at that subject. We often hear of the Japanese, putting all their effort into and be the best they can in their one subject, even if they've been born into it. That doesn't mean they're not interested in other subjects, doesn't mean they have, that they can't put passion into other things, but on the whole, Japanese focus on a single thing. Now for samurai and for you, this is exactly the same. While your life can be very varied with lots of different things, actually you're looking at focusing on your skills. Now for me, my skill was translating information, difficult information, into easy to understand information. So I spend my life in a teacher role, if you like. So I find really difficult, complex problems or information, and I break it down and I give it to the public, hence this book. And I give it away in the sense that, I do YouTube videos, I sell books, and hopefully it's helping other people understand. But you've got to find what you want to do. So go away, have a good think and a good search on the idea of what you fancy that you can do to be part of a team. The next step is getting followers. So not everybody is a leader. This is one thing that you've got to be careful of. Is there are 3 basic types of people. There are top level leaders, middle management, and people who are good and do their job. Just because you might be one of those people who are good and do your job in your little area doesn't mean that's a bad thing. That's a great thing, because not everybody can be at the top level leading, and some people don't want to move from the bottom to the top. They want to stay in the middle and be the connector between everything. So you've got to build some followers, but first of all, understand where you are in the system. If you are going to lead a group, then of course you have to take responsibility for everything. If you're going to join a group, then you find your place naturally within it. So next, find out if you're going to lead a group or if you're going to join a group. So if you're going to lead a group or create a group, you have to be good at what you do. So get good at what you do. You don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be amazing. You're still learning as you go along, but you have to have some skill and ability in that. As I say, for me, it's translating difficult information into easy information. And as I go along my life, I absolutely build and understand this better. But I've got to a level where I can bring other people into different groups and we can start building an army, if you like. Now, this doesn't mean a literal army, of course. It means, for example, if you're into stamp collecting, you create a stamp collecting group. If you're into football, you create a football group. If you're into martial arts or swordsmanship, you create a group based on martial arts and swordsmanship, and you start to establish yourself. In the past, there used to be lots of different groups because we didn't have the internet, and there was a group for this and a group for that and a Wednesday night for this. We need to get back to that a little bit, to bring people back into social interaction, to understand and to get to know each other, not just on the internet. But of course now we have the internet, so your group can exist there as well. So the next step is to create a group. Or start to think about creating a group. So what would you like to create? How would you create it? And start building an action plan. Now, we all know that logos, colours, slogans are absolutely worldwide known. So if I say to you, you know, golden arches with sort of a red and yellow theme, you're going to go straight to McDonald's. If I say something's pure white with a little black apple in the middle with a bite taken out of it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it goes on. And marketing and everything is based on that idea, that you have normally a color scheme, a logo, and a saying or some sort of, you know, branded name. It's the same all over the world, and you need one for your army, your group. So for me, I do Natori Ryu, which I brought a school of war back to life from basically from the dead. It no longer existed, so I brought it back, and I gave it the color scheme of black, white, and crimson. It's called Natori Ryu, and I give them slogan, discipline, and determination. And we have different things, though, but I created an entire system of using old Japanese words, so people are starting to feel that they belong. So when they get together, they put that, then we have hooded tops or uniforms of this colours, and we have colour schemes for different levels of people, but it's a very easy, simple thing to understand. So basically, when people see each other, they click straight away, they understand it, they're part of the same group. So unity, uniforms have been around for a long time. I know in today's world, it's all about, you know, different diversity and identity, but actually uniformity brings a lot of strength as well. So armies did it, companies do it, everybody does it. As long as everybody feels a part of the same team, they'll be happy, or at least, you know, minimally happy. Of course, this is the next problem. You always get people bickering with each other and they forget the enemy outside. But that is just a process of working through teams. Do not over promote leaders. Now, this is the problem, is we have this idea that in life, everybody should keep going up no matter what. You know, we live in a world where it's a case of, oh, you've been there for 2 years, you must go up. But actually, it should be on your ability, the reason you go up. So now what happens is we get a lot of people being promoted and then they sort of stop because they can't do the next job, but they're in a job that they're struggling with. So realistically, you have to find where to place people. If somebody's ambitious and they want to keep going, but they're clearly not correct for the role, give them a different role, give them more responsibility, give them a lot of responsibility in a different area, to sort of tire them out, because they'll want to keep going until they're at the top and they're the most powerful, and that actually leads to collapse. So be careful of who you promote into which position. For the old samurai, if you promoted princes just because they were born princes into generals, then you often got folly on the battlefield and stupid decisions, and these young lads who'd been brought up to think, you know, they were the bee's knees because they were somebody's son, and it always leads to ruin. So a famous example of this is Takeda Shingen with Takeda Katsuyori. He was a son who was brought up and he made the wrong decisions after he took over the clan, and a very ancient, very powerful, in fact the most powerful clan in Japan collapsed within a few years, because one person in a leadership position was in the wrong position. So always be careful where you place people, and if people are getting upset because they're not in the right place, give them more things to do. Don't value ability over loyalty. Yes, you need to put people of ability into positions, but in the ancient days, loyalty was seen as best. So you had a core group around you, the protective group around you as the leader, and that was the Hatamoto, and they were based on loyalty, not ability. Now, those in the vanguard at the front were based on ability. You need your best troops up front. So if you've got someone who's absolutely great at what they do, put them in a position that they can use that. Don't put them in like the command structure, because what's the point of having the best people just sat around making decisions when they should be doing that job? So what you want to be careful of is understanding that loyalty comes above everything, because you might have the best people in the world around you, but if they're not loyal, they'll take it off you. Loyalty is what you prize above everything, because it's better to have somebody loyal defending you than somebody with ability who may or may not defend you when time and pressure is on. So always pick loyalty over ability. Treat your troops with respect. Never dismiss your troops. Always give them your time. Of course, you can't give everything time all day. You have to put a cap on that, but do give them your time. Even if it's a small thing, give them time, or put them in the right place with the right person to deal with that. Always treat them like they are your family. And in ancient times, samurai, what they would do is even have funerals for the lowest level person and pay them homage, and go and find, if somebody died at war, they would find their family and give them money and say, you know, he served well, this is the rest of his wages. They wouldn't just say, oh, he's dead, we don't need to do anything now. So that loyalty continued and respect was built. Rally your troops, but by this I mean keep them in contact by newsletters, videos, meetings. Keep them in contact, keep them knowing of each other. Make sure they build up morale together. Your troops must feel to be part of a team. You absolutely must feel that they are part of a team, and once they feel that, they'll be happy. So keep them interacting, keep them with a goal, keep them doing something, and understand the difference between uptime and downtime. Networking. We all know about networking. You've got to get out there and the right people and everything. But the sort of secret to networking is not chatting to people, because that takes up people's time, especially if they're busy, famous people. The actual secret here is to do things for them. Spend your time helping someone else who's in a more powerful position. If they come to rely on you for doing things, they will give you favors and benefits when the time is right. So do things for other people. Don't just keep in contact by networking. How are you doing? How is this? And you know, it's easy to see through. Do something to help people in power, and they will help you when the time is right. Keeping your plans secret. So this is a problem, this. When you have a plan, you want to tell it to people, but at the same time, you need to keep it back, because there are always leaks in your organization. And if you have a plan, which especially might be a secret plan or a, get to plan, if you tell too many people, everybody knows, and then that starts spreading. But if you don't tell people, then they don't trust you. Your own troops don't trust you, because they think you don't trust them. So there has to be a balance. You have to be aware of who you can and cannot trust, what you can and cannot say. Sometimes you have to leak a false plan. Sometimes you leak the full plan. It is totally individual to your situation. You have to find out, in your situation, should I let my plan out or should I not let my plan out? And who's going to have their nose put out of joint and who's going to be happy with it? And you have to balance that line of leadership. It is very difficult to do, but you can do it. Now, relationships. How do you deal with people's relationships? The thing is everybody gets angry with different people, and when you put people together for any length of time, most of them don't get on. So while there's free time to be away from each other and come back and come forward, everybody's happy. But once they're in for a while, people start to form into groups, cliques and everything. So you have to be careful of who works with who. Do not let cliques appear. Do not let people gather and create factions in your group. Start changing people around. And make sure people are open to talk to each other. Now, this is in ancient China and in ancient Japan, they used creative and destructive cycles. So some people are creative with each other and some people destroy each other. So you have to be careful here. So if somebody's very creative in the sense that they are doing things very good, and then somebody is really not very and a bit destructive, and you put them together, you find that it doesn't really work. So there's an entire and very esoteric pattern of how to deal with the creation cycle and the destruction cycle in the 5 elements. Now, that doesn't stand here like a person of wood, helps a person of fire because it fuels their passion and all that. That's how it goes in ancient China. But what you're looking for realistically is to check if people are creative or destructive with each other. So for example, if somebody's got good talent but they're lazy, and somebody's not got so much talent but enthusiastic, put them together, and the talented person will take lead because they know their job or whatever they're doing, and the enthusiastic person will give them enthusiasm by saying, come on. If you get somebody who's a bit destructive or a bit bad, you can put them with someone who's a bit more honest and nice and wants to steer in a nice way, and that will affect them. But you have to be careful that it doesn't break this person down. So look over your people and think, who works well together, who's got the best relationships, who's got the best understanding, and try to put them together so that the cogs all work beautifully and the machine keeps going. Finally, leave an enduring legacy. Basically, whatever you do has to last beyond you. That's the key. And your group has to carry on after you have finished. So you can do multiple things to do this, and the main one is give a goal that goes beyond your death. So for me, the goal is to answer the question, what did the samurai and ninja really do? And what will happen is I will bring everything out there. and I've created Natoryu, the School of War, to do this. I brought it back from the dead. It's a real historical school. But when I die, it's set up that somebody else will take over and carry on producing this information, or at least using my information to help people understand what the samurai and ninja actually did. So it's always there, going like a machine ticking over. Even when I have to take a break, it keeps going because I've got the correct people in the correct position and they keep moving. And when I die, it hopefully will keep going. So you've got to see, what is it you want to do and how do you keep that going after you die? You don't want yourself to be the kingpin where you take it out and everything falls apart. Like Alexander the Great, he basically had a personal goal, which was to take over most of the world. He did. Once he was out of the question, it all disintegrated and people went home. So you've got to make sure it lasts in a legacy. It carries on after you. Right, let's have a look at the action points. All right, let's go through the action points. Find a group where you naturally fit in or raise your own army of supporters. Okay, we know that. Establish an identity for the followers. Reward loyalty, but do not over-promote leaders. If they can't do the job, they can't do the job. Treat all members of the army with respect. Make sure everybody gets equal respect. Communicate a lot with your supporters. Let them know you're there. Make sure they're well aware. Network with influencers, but ideally in person, but make sure you're doing something for them. Don't just take from them, give to them. Then the next is decide what needs to be kept secret and what you need to give out. Make sure you give out the right information, not all information. Study the relationships between people. Is it destructive? Is it creative? Make sure people are in the right position. Assess your relationships and know how to use both creative and destruction relationships. So again, go through and make sure you're okay, make sure everything's okay and it's all running smoothly. And establish an enduring legacy. Make sure what you do goes beyond you and helps other people and goes out. If you make it so it all comes to you, then it's pretty much not really going to work beyond you. So it has to help the people who get involved with it, and then it will move on. Okay guys, that's it. That's how to be a modern samurai, step 6. We'll look at step 7 next time.